Have you ever used a technique that worked beautifully with one client and seemed completely ineffective with another? Same technique, same training, same practitioner, completely different outcome. Most practitioners assume the difference must be the technique. Maybe they need a better protocol, a deeper process, a more advanced certification, a different modality. But after more than 2 decades of working with clients, I've come to a different conclusion. Many times, the issue isn't technique at all, it's timing. And I believe timing may be one of the most overlooked skills in the healing profession today. In fact, some of the most skilled practitioners I've ever known weren't necessarily the people with the most techniques. They were the people who knew when to use them. If we haven't met yet, my name is Tina Brigittini, and welcome to my channel. Remember to like and subscribe so that you get the next video. Because healing isn't simply about knowing what to do, it's about knowing when the system is ready to receive it. And if you miss that distinction, you can end up pushing for change that the client is not yet capable of integrating. The healing professions tend to reward intervention. Do something, teach something, process something, release something, clear something, fix something. As practitioners, we often feel pressure to create movement. After all, clients come to us wanting results. But one of the most important lessons that I've learned is this: a system cannot integrate what it cannot tolerate. And I'll say that one more time: a system cannot integrate what it cannot tolerate. This single understanding changed the way that I practice because it shifted my attention away from what technique I should use towards something far more important. What is this system capable of receiving right now? So, when a client enters your office, they're often asking for change. But asking for change and being ready for change are not always the same thing. A client may desperately want healthier relationships, yet they're still organized around abandonment. A client may want to speak their truth, yet they're still organized around self protection. A client may want to stop people pleasing, yet they still believe that their safety depends upon approval. The conscious desire exists, but the deeper organization remains unchanged. So, as practitioners, we need to recognize this because pushing beyond capacity rarely creates transformation. More often, it creates resistance, overwhelm, or retreat. And one of the most common mistakes I see is confusing willingness with readiness. A client says, I'm ready, and perhaps consciously they are, but the nervous system may not be. The energetic organization may not be. The identity may not be. The adaptation may not be. This doesn't mean that the client is failing. It means that the practitioner needs discernment because healing is not about forcing change. Healing is about creating conditions where change becomes possible. So, what does readiness actually look like? It rarely looks dramatic. In fact, it's often subtle. The client can remain present while discussing difficult experiences. The client can tolerate uncertainty without immediately shutting down. The client can stay connected to themselves while feeling emotional. The client can consider a new possibility without immediately defending against it. These are signs of increasing capacity. And capacity is often a far more important metric than emotional intensity. See, many practitioners mistake emotional expression for readiness, but crying is not necessarily readiness. Insight is not necessarily readiness. Even motivation is not necessarily readiness. See, readiness is the system's ability to remain present while something new emerges. And this is where nervous system understanding becomes invaluable. The nervous system is constantly evaluating risk, not just physical risk, emotional risk, relational risk, identity risk. A new possibility may sound wonderful consciously, but if the nervous system interprets that possibility as threatening, it will resist. Not because the client is sabotaging themselves, because the system is protecting itself. And this is why timing matters. The goal is not to overpower protection. The goal is to create enough safety that protection is no longer necessary. Energy practitioners have observed this for decades. Sometimes the energy simply isn't ready to move. Sometimes the system reveals only a small piece of the pattern. Sometimes what appears to be resistance is actually wisdom. The system is pacing itself, revealing only what can currently be integrated. And one of the greatest mistakes practitioners make is assuming every limitation should be pushed through. Sometimes the most healing thing that you can do is honor the pace of the system because healing occurs through integration, not force. So let's imagine two practitioners. The first has 20 advanced techniques. The second has fewer techniques, but exceptional discernment. The first practitioner constantly asks, what should I do? And the second practitioner asks, what is this system ready for? And over time, the second practitioner often achieves deeper outcomes. Why? Because the intervention matches capacity. The timing matches readiness. The system is able to integrate what's being offered. And this principle also applies to the energetic development. A client organized around safety concerns may not be ready for deep exploration of purpose. So a client struggling with self-worth may not yet be able to embody authentic expression. This doesn't mean the higher possibilities aren't available. It means the foundation requires attention first. The chakra system reminds us that development occurs in layers, and healthy development cannot be rushed. The most effective practitioners eventually stop asking, how do I create change? And begin asking, what is preventing change from occurring naturally? And that question changes everything because now you're observing organization, capacity, readiness, adaptation. You're no longer trying to force a breakthrough. You're helping to create conditions. where breakthrough becomes possible. And I believe that the future practitioner will be less obsessed with technique and more skilled at observation, less focused on intervention and more focused on discernment, less interested in creating dramatic moments and more interested in creating sustainable transformation. Because a lasting healing rarely occurs when we push the system. Lasting healing occurs when we understand the system. The next time you're working with a client, I want you to pause before asking, what technique should I use? And instead, ask yourself this: what is this system ready for? What can be safely integrated? What can be embodied? What can be sustained? Because the right intervention at the wrong time often fails. But the right intervention at the right time can change everything. And in my experience, timing is one of the most underdeveloped and the most valuable skill a practitioner can possess. I'd love to hear your comments. Have you ever, looking back in your practice, have you ever pushed a client beyond their capacity? I have. It's our learning process. And now, with new perspective, you can do something different. In our next video, we're going to bring this entire series together by exploring what I believe is the future of healing, the integration of nervous system science, energy therapy, developmental understanding, and the practitioner's ability to recognize organization rather than symptoms. Thank you for joining me here today. Many blessings. Tina Bridgettini. Don't forget to like and subscribe.